Welcome to Behind the Barcode, the podcast that goes beyond the label to uncover the stories of the faces behind your favorite products. We're your hosts, Anna and Sydney.
In this podcast, we dive into the dynamic world of consumer packaged goods with a focus on better-for-you products. As entrepreneurs ourselves, we know firsthand the challenges and triumphs of bringing a product to market. That's why we're here to share the journeys of fellow innovators, industry experts, and entrepreneurs who are making waves in the CPG space.
Join us as we sit down with inspiring guests to explore the stories behind the UPC codes, uncovering the passion, perseverance, and purpose driving their businesses forward. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a budding startup, or simply curious about the stories behind the products you love, this podcast is for you.
So grab your favorite snack and get ready to go behind the barcode.
Welcome, Michael Brandt, to Behind the Barcode. Michael is the CEO and founder of Ketone-IQ, which is creating a new category of ketone shots. It's amazing, and we're just going to dive straight into the story. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Happy to be here. It's going to be a great conversation. So where were we in the story? So I was into biohacking, running. I was doing some intermittent fasting tests. I fasted for a week just to see what my ketone levels would do, see if I could survive. Like, I was just getting into experimenting with different stuff. And then I was like, this is really interesting that your body makes ketones, and they're this really efficient molecule that your body makes when you push to the limits. What if you could go and make this in a store? What if you could go to a store and just buy a shot of ketones? That would be really cool. So I figured out a way to prototype it. It was just like very expensive. It's kind of like lab bench style, just like very expensive, like $30, $40 a shot. But like it worked. As a proof of concept. It was very like manual, a lot of hand making process, which I think a lot of CPG entrepreneurs can relate with. You have your like, it doesn't scale. I know my friends at Glow Nuts were making Glow Nuts.
She just texted me, Kristen, today. Okay.
She's a gem.
Love
Kristen,
her.
Grover. Like,
yes.
I don't want to give it's their story to tell, but like they for a while, just like making their own Glow Nuts before they figure out a way to like, there comes a point in every growth trajectory where you kind of get out of your basement, kitchen, whatever, and you can scale it out to contract manufacturing and broader scale.
So everyone's going to be taking the Ketone-IQ shot, minus me, although I am on the keto diet temporarily, which we'll get into at the moment. I just am refraining from packaged products at the moment. But we should still take it together as if I'm taking it.
All right, let's take it. It's non-GMO, no sugar, no caffeine, and this will get us straight into ketosis, correct?
Correct.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Cheers, L'chaim.
Cheers.
L'chaim.
What does it taste like?
It's fermented, so it's definitely got a taste to it. I mean, say what it tastes like for
Like kombucha, sauerkraut.
No, it's not salty.
It's not salty. Well, how would you? You actually didn't have a crazy response. Some people really don't like it. Some people get really into it.
I like the taste of these types of things, though.
Yeah.
I am weird. I am like the less than 1% of the
smell
planet.
it?
Yeah, smell it. Here,
Smell
you
it, take a
smell mine?
sip.
Let me
Oh,
smell.
yeah.
Oh.
So
fine.
where we sit in
Yeah.
the store is in like the wellness shots next to
Yes.
apple cider vinegar, the oregano oil, like all the like weird tasting.
Yes.
It's functional. It's formulated for function, not flavor. So what's inside of here is a ketone. We make it via a fermentation process. We don't really put a lot of flavoring in it either. So it's like some monk fruit and a little bit of stevia and like not a lot else. So it's just pretty much straight ketones and has that fermented taste to it.
Love that. So what's going on with me now that I took this?
Yeah, it's
What's
ketosis.
happening?
It's ketosis in a bottle. And I mean, an even less nerdy way to say it is it's just energy.
Okay.
Ketone is a form of energy. It's the way that sugar has energy. When you eat sugar, it gives you energy. You either use that energy, you get all sugar high, you do a dance, go for a run, or you don't and you turn that sugar into body fat. Like ketone has energy in it. So that has calories inside of it. It has 70 calories in a bottle, and the calories all come from ketones. So ketones are energy. And it's interesting because like other things have energy, like sugar, caffeine has energy. Like caffeine, it's kind of a misnomer because caffeine doesn't have any calories whatsoever. It's just a stimulant.
Right.
So caffeine doesn't actually have like energy. It just like stimulates your body to use more of other types of energy. Ketones are a really efficient form of energy. And the whole thing I developed starting in 2019. I got a $6 million contract with the Department of Defense Special Operations Command, and they were really interested in alternative forms of energy. There's only so much caffeine, so much stimulants that you can have in a day. What are alternate forms of energy that can help not only with performance, but like ongoing, especially like mental health, cognitive health. And that's where the journey really began with ketones for me.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Like, I don't even know where to start.
When you say Department of Defense, I'm like, how do you get in contact with the Department of Defense? Which I also listened to a former podcast you were on as well. And it just, you hear Department of Defense and you're like, how do you even break that barrier to entry, even to communicate with the largest funded organization?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the enterprise sales of all enterprise sales.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest, $1 trillion budget, massive. And yeah, it's true. You got to get a lot. If you think selling into like Costco or Whole Foods or something is hard, like the DoD is real hard. It takes a long time, and you got to have a lot of like right people signing the right.
Did you develop this for that purpose, or did they like what came first?
We had a prototype first. So prior to that, in like 2016, 17, I'd gotten really into performance. I'm a big marathon runner. I run 80 miles a week. I'm really competitive at the marathon.
Sydney just realized how far that actually is.
I just started to get into running like ish.
Nice.
Ish, yeah. Maggie, if you're listening, she's my running buddy.
Hell yeah.
I went to Venice Run Club a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was going to stop. I said to myself, I was like, I can't do it. Like, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, sorry, this is very much a tangent. Yeah. I said, if I see a friend that I need to keep going. If I don't see a friend, it's my sign to stop. But if I see a friend, I'll keep running with him or her, whoever it was. And then Maggie appeared.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I kept going.
Love that accountability.
And I said, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Next.
And I see that's on the bottle too.
Do you take one before you run?
Yes.
Okay.
Take one before I run, and then for longer runs, I'll have one during my run as well. And so, before working with the DoD, I was just a curious cat, like getting into endurance sports and getting into human performance optimization in general. Like I was kind of early on wearing continuous glucose monitors and different measuring devices, and had this insight that stuff was really going to take off, that like someday like tens of millions of people are going to be wearing some kind of sensor on or in their body. And we're seeing it play out, right? Like 50 million Americans have some kind of Apple Watch or Whoop or Aura or Levels continuous glucose monitor. Like people are measuring their body in interesting ways. And it's cool. Like, I don't know how many friends you have that are like, I don't drink caffeine after noon anymore because it interferes with my sleep score on my Aura. And so you're seeing people actually like take that quantified data and make more informed health decisions about it. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's something I don't want to deserve like credit for predicting it, but it was something that was like, I saw coming when I was thinking about the space like 5-10 years ago. And I started looking at, okay, well, within that new world of nutrition, what's really interesting? And I'm a big runner, big endurance athlete. And like, I think it would be really cool to make something new that didn't exist before that would really register on these biomarkers. These objective measures.
It's totally huge right now. And then I wore one for a little bit, the glucose monitors.
Yeah.
Even like tracking everything. Everyone's tracking everything. Strava with the running app.
Yeah.
And then obviously Oura Ring. And then I went down a whole rabbit hole last night watching YouTube shorts on Glucose Revolution. I don't know why. It just was Glucose Goddess, Glucose Revolution. There are a couple. I don't know if it's the same woman. I can't remember. But she goes down a whole thing about, everyone knows the savory breakfast, the caffeine at certain times of the day, and just showing the graph, you know? And yeah, it's interesting.
It's super interesting. And I think you learn a lot when you wear a continuous glucose monitor for a couple of weeks even. Like you just see, if you have a lot of sugar right before bedtime, it's harder to fall asleep. You have a worse sleep score. And just in general, a lot of times throughout the day, if you have too much of a spike of blood sugar, it's often followed by a crash and you just don't feel that good afterwards. And I think tying that to the objective data of like, oh, I had a rough night's sleep, or, oh, I like had this crash in the middle of the afternoon, seeing that, oh, well, like prior to that, I had this massive meal and like it was sugary or carby and it like spiked my blood glucose, and just like
Yeah.
Not to say like, oh, never have cake again in your entire life, but just know that like, hey, yeah, if I have something really like sweet for breakfast and I then just try to go sit at my desk, I'm not going to have the most productive flow state after there.
You know, that's why I developed French squirrel, like my protein bites,
Yeah.
because of blood sugar imbalances. And it was
awesome.
always that 3 to 4 p.m. slot in the day where I wanted something to hold me over till dinner time. But then I didn't want a blood sugar spike. So then the way that we formulated it is the same, like has protein, healthy fats, fiber, complex carbs, and that mix of ingredients helps to stabilize blood sugar. And we even tested it too on people to see if they have a beret, like one of our protein bites, what it does to blood sugar. And it's flat line. It's
That's
crazy.
so good. Yeah. So that's so interesting too, that you're like, one of your proof points for your product in 2024 is like, I measured blood sugar spikes. Like that wasn't something people did 10 years ago.
No, I need to pump more content on that.
100%. Because
Now
then
that
you can
it's
actually see the results. You're not just like throwing things at the wall. Like, will this work? Will this sleep supplement work? Will this,
I'm gonna do that today.
stabilize my blood sugar? And you actually can see.
And I think it's valuable because I think a lot of people, A, like are doing some sort of testing already. And then B, I think if people aren't, it's at least like just believable anyway that, oh, I could go and test. Like, oh, I saw the content of you testing someone. Like it just adds a level of believability. Because I think the like prior decade of health wellness trends was a lot of like, trust me, bro. It's like, yo, this is a superfood. Yo, trust me. It's like here's a acai berry and like, trust me, bro.
Oh my
like,
God. No, acai bowls. How many did you have? Literally every day.
I had so many.
I mean, they're great. And like, I'm not
You're
trying to like,
absolutely right.
Yeah. Like, but it's like, I think that the added that now you can say, hey, if you take this, right now, you're going to see an immediate shift in your biomarkers. Like you take Ketone-IQ, you will directly see blood glucose stabilize. If you have a marker, if you have a sensor that's measuring ketone levels, you'll be immediately into ketosis as though you'd been fasting for multiple days or doing multiple days of the ketogenic diet. Like your body's ketone levels will be at the same as though you've been making your own ketones for several days.
And forgive me if this is a stupid question. Where are you extracting the ketones from? Like, what exactly is it?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. Okay, it's like your body makes this thing just to like say what it is in general.
Yeah, like how is it in this CPG product?
Yeah.
Like, what is in this bottle?
That took years, right? Because like the initial insight was okay, when you're doing a ketogenic diet, right, a low carb diet, or if you're fasting, your blood sugar is going really low, or if you're doing a lot of endurance activities, you're running low on blood sugar. In any of those contexts, your body starts making a lot of ketones to keep your brain alive. Okay, so like ketogenic diet, you're low carb, your body's making ketones to fuel your brain. You go on a long run, long hike, and you're not eating enough to keep up with your energy demands, then your body's going to start making ketones to keep your brain alive.
So is this technology mimicking that? Or is it, like, for example, we had a guest a few weeks ago who owns a probiotic company, Probiotic Shots. And I was like, okay, well, where do you get these strains from? Like, what is this? And it's actually from extracting the gut microbiomes on Italians who've lived over 100.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. And so that's like the survival of the fittest. They're taking the fittest bacteria, probiotics, from those microbiomes, and that's what's in the shot that we're taking.
Smart. Yeah.
So is this mimicking that? Like what you know what I mean?
That's always a joke I have is like, we have like a room full of people on treadmills, like we're extracting their ketones.
Well, yeah, no, but actually though, that's kind of what I mean though.
We figured out a fermentation process where you take a specialized form of yeast, like a microorganism, and you feed it plant material like coconut, and then it produces, as a byproduct of the fermentation, it produces the ketone. And then you can go and eat the ketone. So it's actually kind of interesting parallel because like in your body, you make it via metabolism. We just figured out a way to get like bacteria doing that metabolism for you so that you can directly go and drink a ketone. And then you have that available as an energy substrate for your system. So it's the same energy that your body would be creating in a fast or ketogenic diet or on a long run. You just now have 10 grams of it instantly available.
That makes sense.
And a lot of people like that feeling. It's this very like mentally clear feeling. A lot of people feel.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty mentally clear right now. Yeah. I didn't have very much caffeine today either. I feel pretty hyped up.
It's nice. It's not this like
good.
It's not this super, anxious type of feeling that like caffeine can kind of get you really jittery, and it works. Like it gets you really, really cranked up. Ketones are more of a low dose Adderall kind of feel, or like runner's high in a bottle is how some people talk about it. And so it's a nice, like, just different. It's not really like caffeine. It's just its own other kind of way of feeling that gets you clear, focused energy.
More of a stable energy.
Anyway, so we had a really expensive, and it tasted really crazy at the time, prototype, and it was enough to get the interest of DoD. The DoD had some like pockets of funding already, so it wasn't just totally like blank start. There was like small business innovation research grants. There was like some pockets of funding where they were like, hey, here is like, if you're able to like investigate into these areas, there's funding available. And a lot of times in the DoD, that's like other it's, radar systems and airplanes and AI and satellites, right? But they started opening up pockets of funding for nutrition, for stuff that was really like cutting edge, and ketones was one of the areas of interest. And so we were able to like kind of plug the key into the lock there. Like, okay, we have interesting prototype. We have like some scalability on it, enough to like make, we could make hundreds or thousands. We couldn't make millions of units at the time, but we figured out that enough of the scaling, and then we were able to just meet a lot of the right people and get that contract through. And that was cool. It's a good initial proof point that, it's very expensive, very crazy tasting, but like very interesting in that like extreme population where they were really interested in like high altitude, low oxygen environment, like performance, because the caffeine doesn't work that well if you're for altitude sickness. So they're interested in like, okay, could ketones help? And they do help with performance, physical, cognitive performance at altitude. Like they were just interested in some specific special operator application areas. So got that rolling. That was enough to like.
When was this? What year?
2019.
Okay.
And so that was enough to get the like, get things rolling. As an entrepreneur, it's always momentum. It's like, okay, we got enough of a prototype and enough of like a supply chain going to get that. And then once we got that, then it was like, okay, we can kind of step up to fundraise a little bit. And then we could go and upscale our contract manufacturing capabilities and really make this like, at the time, and even now, like the biofermentation that we're doing is pretty cutting edge. The idea of like taking specialized yeast and using that to like make a specific target molecule. So we went to a number of the groups that do that kind of manufacturing, and we're like, hey, we pitched them on the concept like, hey, your technology could be used to make our technology. Like, what do you think of doing that? And then we're able to get it rolling. So it took a few years of really being like, we were not a CPG company. It was me and my co-founder. We were two like computer science guys from Stanford. Okay. And we're just like YOLOing this Department of Defense contract and figured out some like lightning in a bottle. And then we're like, we should really be a CPG company. And I remember I met Steven Vigilante over at Olipop, like, I don't know, just kind of people know like one of the coolest guys in CPG. And I was like, man, we should really be like a CPG company. We should put this in shots and get this into like stores. Cause we just didn't, I don't know how to explain it. Right now it's obvious, but like at the time it felt like a science fair project where we're just like, let's make some really cool tech. And then like
you're in the lab.
Yeah. And like, that'll make billions of dollars. Like we'll figure that out later. Let's just like it would be really cool if we could make ketones.
Yes.
And then like, I didn't know
what a different avenue. Because if you were to tell me that, like when people ask me what's the thing that you didn't know about the CPG space, and something that I honestly I wish I didn't. I'm glad I didn't know, because then I wouldn't have started probably. But how low margin the business is, and it's crazy, especially at retail, and that I tell people that before they enter. It's like, you don't make much money when you first start out. I don't know how it was with you guys. Obviously, you have a contract with the Department of Defense, a different story. But then to say like, oh, let's be a CPG company, it's like, that's the same attitude that I think Anna and I had. It's like, oh my God, so exciting. And then you realize like the reality is that it's a very low margin business.
And it's all volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like it's
really hard.
So what did you not expect?
Yeah.
Everything. I think that... I mean, I didn't know what a UPC was. I didn't know what like a distributor was, or just different like networks of distribution, or a broker. Like I just didn't know anything, and started figuring out piece by piece. We started on D2C, which I think I like that personally I think there's a lot of ways to start a CPG business, but I like the D2C, like open a Shopify store, like figure out your talking points, your messaging points, like make a good landing page that explains your product, get your first 1,000 true fans to come to your site. Like I like that approach, because I didn't have to like get permission from any buyer, and then like, oh, you set it up on the shelf, but like your packaging is not totally telling the story, and it's like a 3-month reset, or if anything, sometimes you get discontinued and you're discontinued for 3 years or forever. Like online, you can kind of like test and iterate. And your packaging, like your physical packaging can be a certain way, but your website, you can just change in a day. And like, if your packaging looks a little bit different from your website, I've never had someone complain. It's like you make your packaging look as good as possible, but then on your website, you can you just tell more of a story. You can have founder videos, you can have UGC videos, you can have like longer form stuff, shorter form stuff. You can have FAQs, you can have a chat bot where people ask you questions. You can really like figure out your messaging and your grooves. And then what we've done is like use that to then set up into retail to say like, okay, our best performing Facebook ad is XYZ. So like, let's put that on our display in retail. Like we're able to do a lot of the like iterate quick and like fail quick on digital and then like bring that into retail. And I don't want to be too prescriptive because like some brands are just like really freaking good at retail and they just take over retail. They don't care about like selling you stuff on the internet. But for us, I don't know, especially for me as a first time CPG operator, I thought I've found like going like D2C first to get the engine going. And then like, okay, let me figure out how to get my first like set up in UNFI, set up in KHE, but like there's kind of like an engine already going with D2C. There's some fan base, there's some production going, there's some like cash flows going already.
Totally.
And you're also creating a category. So you need more education behind your product, which is how are you doing that? Especially when someone sees this on the retail shelves. I don't know what they initially think or like how are you educating customers in a brand new category when you're really the only one?
I think it'd be really hard to do what we're doing without the D2C side of it. The fact that we've done enough D2C that like in Sprouts, we're the number one energy supplement in Sprouts. And when we go to stop by a Sprouts and we ask like, oh, like the supplements manager, like, have you seen our product? What do people say about it? They're always like, people come in and people are like coming with their like muddy Hokas on and like they have a race tomorrow and they like buy a whole 6-pack.
It's amazing.
It's very much people coming in like knowing the product. So I think it's something we could do a better job on is like grabbing net new people in retail who like just don't know what it is and like how do we capture that net incremental new person in retail? Because what we're seeing a lot of is like our overall community. We're on a lot of podcasts. You got Huberman Lab talking about us. Like Gwyneth Paltrow posts about us organically. Melissa Woods Tepperberg posts about us over the weekend, a couple weekends ago. Like we get a lot of that like digital stuff. And then people go into the store and they've already heard about us.
Totally.
To try it.
I thought you were going to say something different because I've had both experiences where I hear from retail employees when I go into a store and they're like, oh my God, people come in and ask for your product, which I do believe, of course. French Squirrel has a loyal community, so does Akasha Superfoods. But then there are times that I go into the store and they're like, I don't know what that is. And it's happened to me so many times. And you think that just because you're in contact with the corporate offices of a retail store that it translates to store level, but it does not at all. And Anna's been doing a bunch of trainings with employees at store level recently, which has been super inspiring. And it's so important because I get messages from customers on my business Instagram saying, oh, we went into the store and the employee couldn't help us find, like they just didn't know where the product was. And I'm like, what? I was just there yesterday and it's where all the peanut butters are.
Yeah.
We'll go directly to the supplement section and ask the employees right away, which vitamin C do you recommend?
Yes.
You're like, which energy shot do you recommend? So it's so important
Definitely
for
supplement
them.
space.
Yeah, so it's so important for them to try your product and know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the biggest lessons for me as a first time CPG entrepreneur. I thought you sold at the store and you're done. Like, cool, we got the PO in. Like,
no.
That's what I thought too.
The work starts after.
Yeah, everything you guys are saying, I completely agree. It's like the work starts after. Like once you get the PO, it's like, okay, like, I mean, a lot of times in the contract it's written in, it's like that you've guaranteed the product, meaning that if it doesn't sell, you have to buy it back.
Yeah.
So like it really, like no time to celebrate. Like as soon as you get your first PO, it's like you got to go to the store. I mean, there's so many tips and tricks. I think especially when you're early though, a lot of it falls on you as a founder, or like the founding team to go like educate the store. And I mean, I always try to like buy one for them or like have samples with me, right? So they've like tried it, right? Like you do that too?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll go buy it and then like give it to them. To try because it's important.
Yeah.
And it's everything, honestly. And especially when you expand and you get into more locations, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I want to pivot for a second because right now, Ozempic is the big hot topic, okay? And I even hate talking about it because I don't know what you know about me and like my brand, but everyone listening, maybe you do know, maybe you don't. I'm very much into intuitive eating, anti-diet culture. So like even bringing up this topic is so annoying right now, but I feel like we have to because there are so many negative side effects that are coming out right now on the internet showing stomach paralysis, brain fog, like delayed stomach issues, like all these things, trouble focusing, and I think there's so much more. I can't even go there. But obviously Ozempic was created for diabetes, and now it is being, I feel like I can say this, it is being misused by a majority of the population. So how does your product compare to some of the natural effects? Or no, sorry.
Like, how does Ketone-IQ compare to
How does Ketone-IQ
Ozempic?
compare to Ozempic?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how hard Ozempic has trended in just like the last couple of years. And I really think of that as a sledgehammer approach where it's very effective for a lot of people in appetite control, but then it does all these other things, the stomach paralysis, the muscle wastage. Mm-hmm. So it's not a good long-term solve for society to just everyone's all of a sudden on Ozempic all the time now. But it's definitely worth addressing because like it is happening. You definitely see this trend. Right. And I think that the people are dealing with it. I think people that use it in a smart way, if they're using it, are like they have a plan for like ramping down off of it and like getting into like maybe you use it to aggressively lose weight and then you get into back into like intuitive eating and like you get back to like a more normal lifestyle afterwards without being on it. Ketone-IQ, so ketones have been shown to have some appetite control effects where when you drink it, it suppresses your ghrelin, which is one of your hunger hormones. Mm-hmm. Like you're not as hungry, which is nice. It's like a nice effect. It doesn't cause any muscle wastage. If anything, it preserves muscle. It's just like a much more mild approach. It doesn't have as steep of a appetite control effect either. Right. It's like Ozempic's really
is a weight loss supplement. Like it's just more of like a lifestyle incorporation. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I would say like Ozempic's really sledgehammer approach where you get like this hardcore appetite control, but you also get a lot of like hardcore side effects.
Yes.
The way that people use Ketone-IQ in like lifestyle ways, it's got a little bit of an appetite control effect, and people just like that. It like lets them extend their overnight fast, or lets them like just if they get a little hungry between meals, they take a shot of Ketone-IQ.
And other brands right now are, taking advantage of this Ozempic craze and saying, this is nature's Ozempic, this is faux Zempic. I'm like watching it on social media right now, and it's like on billboards all over. So like people are taking advantage of that. Yeah. But obviously,
or they're trying to create natural forms of it because they see that it's trending. So the intentions are good behind it. It's not like they're trying to necessarily take advantage of it.
No, right. No, you're right. Yeah.
There's an urgent need there, right? There's like a real consumer need there. And I think Ozempic, again, solves it, I think, with a really sledgehammer approach that is not good because it's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like you're just doing the thing you mean to do, but then you're doing a lot else that you didn't mean to do. And so if you can do the good part, which is help people with appetite control and then like not do the bad stuff, then but I don't know, that's like the ultimate magic pill that like doesn't totally exist.
It's avoiding the root cause.
Right. And you have to rewire. You have to go but like, okay, why is this the problem and how can I change my lifestyle for XYZ reason? Instead it's like, oh, let me just take a pill.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that people are maybe realizing is that sugar is super addicting. Yeah. There's sugar in everything and that it's really easy to have a lot of it and it has all these bad side effects. And like the more of it that you have, the more of it that you want. And like it makes you gain weight. It makes you have low energy. It makes you feel like you always need more of it. And if people are able to like kick that cycle, I think that's really productive. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that's like the upside is like people are waking up to it. It's just like, and maybe people realize that I don't need a pill to like just not eat so much sugar. Like if you have eggs for breakfast, like you're just not going to be like ravenously hungry versus if you have a donut for breakfast, 100%. Your carbs are going to spike and then crash and then you're going to feel hangry like an hour and a half later.
And so I'm on the anti-candida diet at the moment since we mentioned that before you were recording. And It's basically keto, I guess. And it's the first time that I have done something like this in my life where it's been like I have to be super strict about it. And yesterday I ate out, actually. I'm supposed to be cooking and to like control what's in my food. And I ate out. I was like, yeah, it's no big deal. It'll be okay. It was not okay.
Not okay.
It was not okay. But it's so interesting how our palates change in what you just said. So for a while, I thought that it was my fault that I kept craving sugar so much. It was the candida and it was my body. Like it's like a drug.
Yeah.
Being addicted to sugar. And I cold turkey cut it out now. And then I even tried this yogurt that I eat often that usually has sugar in it. And I tried it the other day. And because my palate's been completely changed for the last like week and a half, it was too sweet for me even.
And that's insane. For like a week and a half, you already
Yes.
had like changed your palate in
Yeah.
a really good direction where you weren't hungry for this like sweet thing anymore.
And it's possible.
Yeah.
But you know, I have eggs for breakfast every day.
I think that's
Yeah.
super interesting that
Right
like that
now.
your palate literally shifts. I think a lot of times we think it's baked in, like, oh, I like this, I don't like this. It's like,
No, it can change.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not even that crazy to me because like how many people actually like black coffee when they were in like 6th grade? You know what I mean? Like the first time I had my mom's coffee, I was like, yo, you're insane. This stuff tastes crazy. Like, and you chase red wine, like it's not, but then as an adult, you start to like it. So I think we've all like gone through that process of like expanding, extending our palate into more like interesting, complex flavors. But that window can still keep shifting. Like you can shift away
Yes,
from having a
retraining.
yeah.
And it takes discipline, which is why it's like related to like the Ozempic thing. Like it takes discipline instead of taking a pill to get rid of the issue. It's like takes discipline to retrain the palate. But I've noticed my brain fog is starting to go away a little bit, which is great because I usually am like working at my desk, working on my business, and my head hurts from like I can't even think. And I've been able to actually think clearly even in this like week and a half change.
That's awesome.
I report everything to Anna as well. I text her whenever there's an update.
I bet you're making your own ketones. If you're really eating low
Maybe.
carb, and your brain is
Making
Can you
like
test that?
yeah.
Okay, how can you test your ketone levels?
There's just over the counter blood ketone measures.
Wow.
You can buy one on Amazon.
Okay.
And they've started making continuous ketone monitors, just like continuous glucose monitors.
yeah. And then
So,
making
yeah.
sure to do it right. Like I've been putting olive oil, butter, avocado, like on everything.
Nice.
You know, like I'm not just eating protein and vegetables.
That's good.
So
Yeah, and a lot of why that works. I'm not like a big diet proponent guy,
Yes.
but like
neither. This is very rare for me. You're catching me at a very
you
rare.
got a protocol.
Yes.
The reason
ahead.
that this works, whether you want to call it a diet or not, but just,
Yeah.
I think it's just like more. I think it is actually good intuitive eating if you like take away maybe what's been implanted into our brains that like having a bunch of soda and chips and candy is healthy. Like
Yes.
if you go back to basics, like the more savory stuff is more satiating. That not all
Yes.
calories are equally satiating. Like 100
Totally.
calories of like a hard-boiled egg versus 100 calories of candy, like the hard-boiled egg is going to satiate you way better versus the candy is going to
Yeah.
have you reaching for another 100 calories of candy. And what a lot of people find when they do like these more, you know, whether you want to call it paleo, keto, just like Whole 30, just more of like a return to natural stuff is that,
That's all that these things are.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
is that like you could eat as much avocado and eggs as you want in a day, and like your body's gonna naturally fill up, and you're gonna be like, no thanks, I don't want that
Yeah.
much more. Versus like pancakes, I don't know, it feels like you can always eat more pancakes and
Yeah.
French toast.
Or like artificial sweeteners
Yep.
and all those things. Yeah. And for people listening to like since being in the food business, you realize that nutrition facts, supplement facts, they're not 100% accurate with everything. Like everything is by weight. And then what I learned from being in the CPG industry is like, you can't even quantify food. Like it's there for a measure, right? Like to kind of know like exactly, like not exactly, but like sort of where you are. But then you know when you're on the manufacturing side behind the product, like it's impossible to exactly get it down to the T. And it's just there for a guide, if you will. And then I like watch influencers post things on TikTok. They're like, I love this bar because it's 170 calories, 20 grams of protein, 3 grams of sugar. I'm like, yeah, like
You're saying it's like directional.
It's
like
directional. And if you and that's something, and it's not to say that they're not accurate, the nutrition facts on the shelf. It's not that. It's just that it's impossible to be accurate with nature.
Yeah.
And so then when you create this packaged product, like, I don't know, it just makes me feel like people don't actually know what they're consuming. Like if you look at this thing and you look at that and you go, oh, I'm eating these numbers, like it almost feels disconnected.
Yeah.
Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
No, it does. Do you know the percentage that it varies?
I believe it's 30.
30%.
Wow.
I need to
know-
do when I started, I remember it was 30. That was years ago.
I know for supplements, you need to be within 10% of label claim. Like if you say there's 100 milligrams of caffeine, you need to have, between 90 and 110.
Yeah.
Like min is like just what's considered
Totally.
CGM, like FDA,
Yes.
good manufacturing process, compliant. But I think nutrition facts are a little looser actually. And a lot of the stuff is just like the order on the ingredients. It's just an ordering. Like it needs to be from like most to least, but you don't have, it's not clear. Like you don't have to be more specific than
Right.
that.
Then proprietary blends, and you put that in there. And if you do a proprietary blend, you can move it up the list.
Yeah. That you can basically, like a proprietary blend's just so people know, is like the basket of those things. But within that basket, you don't have to specify.
Yes.
So if someone has a proprietary blend of whatever, like
Protein.
and it's like, it's got ABC type of protein, like it might be like 98% A and then like 1% B, 1% C. So if you think that if you're trying to get protein C and it's really expensive and premium, but it's part of a proprietary blend of A, B, and C, they're probably not putting a lot of
100%.
protein C in there, and you're better off finding something that's like specifically making a label claim around like that protein C that you're specifically interested in.
So to sum up Ketone-IQ and Ozempic, does Ketone-IQ increase your metabolism? Like, because they're not used interchangeably.
No.
But Ketone-IQ increases your energy. It puts you into ketosis, which means you're burning fat faster, right?
Right, and you're not as hungry, which is I think probably the biggest similarity. You're just not as hungry, and it's a lot easier to like ramp into like what we're talking, like not eating sugar, not hankering for sugar. So a lot of people like it for that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And so where do you see the business going? And then can you also talk about Shark Tank as well?
Yeah. You're on Shark Tank.
Yeah,
How
I
was
meant to
that?
mention that, which is wild. I have a crush on Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban's the best. I think he's
He's the greatest. I've been watching Shark Tank since I was little.
Yeah.
It's my favorite show of all time.
Yeah, I love it. I love just what it represents for like American entrepreneurship. I love that that's one of the most popular shows because a lot of what's on TV is just like terrible. I don't know. It's just like people just tearing each other down.
No, there's like actually value.
Yeah. It's obviously a little like hammed up and animated. Like I remember when I was on there with my co-founder, like we were on there for.
What year was this?
I mean, this is a while. It was like 5 years ago. So like prior to even starting Ketones, like we were just trying out a lot of different projects and brands and ideas. It's actually all been within the same company. So like we brought all of our like investors and cap table all along the way. But we just launched different concepts inside there. So we had a really early nootropics brand. It was called NutroBox. It was like a subscription box of nootropics. We had just a few different brand concepts that we tried all along the way to varying degrees of success. And then once we launched Ketones, it was like really obvious that was like the thing, the like hockey stick, venture scale. So we wound down everything else. And that's all we did. But when we were on Shark Tank, that was like 5 years ago. And we had a few of these other concepts still were like active then. And yeah, it was fun. Like we got on Shark Tank. We didn't end up doing a deal, unfortunately. But I still like zero regrets because like you get a primetime ad for your product. Like you just get, I still have
I'm
people.
sure it affects his sales.
Oh yeah, it was huge. We did like a few 100K of sales on just the day of the show. And then it gets rerun. I still have people like, it like shows up on like Delta Airlines TV. Like people just like send me random photos where they see a rerun. And yeah, it's just good, like set and rep, tell your story as a founder and you get good coverage, good exposure out into the world. Nice, like primetime ad for your product.
Amazing.
And then, yeah, it's fun because we like run into the Shark, like, we run into Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary here and there, just like random industry events.
Into Kevin O'Leary at it was, oh my God, in West Hollywood, that restaurant, not Olivetta, what it turned into, whatever, the one that was before Olivetta, people listening if you're in LA. And I got so nervous, but I walked up to him and I just said, hi, I'm such a big fan. And then I didn't even say the name of my business or anything. I just got, I don't know, I got too scared.
Do you always have product with you?
That's the thing. So the answer usually was no, up until recently. At Expo West, we printed these little mini Bizou bags, our peanut butter chocolate cereal clusters up there in these tiny bags. And I now have been carrying them in my purse, my handbag, excuse me. My mom will kill me. Handbag, not purse. And then I just pull it out.
Mom.
Hi, Roseanne.
She always says I have to say handbag and not purse.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Be a lady.
Yeah, to be a lady. And you also just put your gummies in a little pouch.
Yeah, but I carry my product everywhere. You just never know who you're going to run into.
No.
I ran into Alex Earl in the Cabo airport and gave her my product, and she put it in one of her videos on TikTok. Even though it wasn't like the star of the video, it was on her table of her necessities, which I was like, I can't believe you kept it. So you just never know who you're going to meet or run into. And like, I feel like when you have these intentions of meeting certain people or just putting that energy out there, you're going to run into them and meet them no matter what. Yeah,
I think it's really important for the manifestation journey. Because like, what if the thing that you're manifesting actually comes true?
Right.
Like, what if you run into Taylor Swift and she needs some ketones right now? Like, what if, like, you never know. Like, what if, or needs a little afternoon snack, a little treat. Like, what do you?
Or Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Watch me run into Mark Cuban soon.
Like,
if you just keep saying it, you're going to. And it's just going to happen.
And then you need to have your Bizou bag or whatever your like brand equivalent is for anyone out there. Like, you got to have it. Cause like, what if it's like probably not going to happen today, but like eventually it definitely will happen. If you think about it that way, it's like 99% chance it won't happen today, but like the chance of it never happening is like very low. Like eventually you're going to run into someone, but it's just going to happen and you need to be ready. And then just like you meet a lot of like not famous people along the way too. It's just like whatever, just like they're valuable too. Like everyone.
Totally. And
like,
they help you in ways that you would never know.
Yeah. You never know. Like your mom's friend, whatever, might like, I don't know, maybe I'll just get something randomly banger tagline from like some random person. You know what I mean? Like you never know.
Yes. Okay, so then the vision for Ketone-IQ, where are you guys going? Where do you feel like is what area of the business is flowing right now? You know, like where are you putting more attention to? Stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, what I'm really inspired by is the Gatorade founders and then like Vital Proteins founders. I've gotten to know Kurt, the founder there. He actually invested via Family Fund, which is like a really cool group of founders and operators. Those have in common, Gatorade, Vital Proteins, and us, is the focus on like a really single ingredient or concept, where Gatorade really made electrolytes a thing. They just did electrolytes for decades and decades, got the Michael Jordan ad. Gatorade got started in the 60s, and then like by the 90s, they were still just only doing electrolytes, and they had Michael Jordan. Remember like the ads, like sweating out Gatorade colored sweat? My parents
still buy Gatorade for the house for when they get sick. I'm just like, what?
Because it's just baked in.
That's what we grew up on.
It's just what remember the little green cups and like the orange?
Oh,
and
so gross. Sorry.
And so what they did,
40.
Sorry, yeah.
What they did well was just really own the idea of electrolytes, just make that a thing. And then like Vital Proteins, just different playbook, different nutritional primitive with collagen. But like nutritional collagen wasn't really a thing decade and a half ago. And then Vital Protein just really focused on that one thing. So what I'm getting at is like
I hear you.
The focus, the like, I'm not in a hurry to launch a ashwagandha gummy next week or or a bar or a frozen popsicle. Like I'm really into ketones and like shots of ketones and like getting that everywhere and just like staying really, really focused and finding creativity inside of there where like, different flavors of shots and really exploring like ketones have like a challenging flavor profile. So really playing around with like all the like alternative types of sweeteners and flavoring systems and microencapsulation and developing IP around that stuff and just really figuring out like, okay, if we put all of our IQ points in this like one really razor focused area. How much value can we create? Like I think ketones can be the next electrolytes or CBD or collagen, like the next like nutritional primitive, and like putting all of our wood behind one arrow to make that true. Like just we bought ketone.com. That's our homepage now. Just like really
like single ingredient, like your focus. Got it. I love it.
And get that out everywhere. Cause I'm just very big believer that there's a fundamental human need for energy. Like it's a really important problem to solve. You can help people have more energy. It's like this meta problem where it helps everyone solve all the other problems on planet Earth.
Meta problem. That was well said. Yeah. We talk about this all the time. That is one of the, if not the biggest complaint from people. Just, low energy, fatigue.
Yeah.
And you're at the forefront of that. And I think it's really interesting that singling out the ingredient. You do that with ketones. I do that with CMOS. Sydney does that with chocolate peanut butter.
Yeah.
It's like it's when you focus on one thing rather than just being like sporadically everywhere, then you can just like work on owning that space.
Totally. Yeah. I know someone who made a like CoQ10 brand, and it's just like a very specific ingredient for like cardiovascular health, and just rode that up and like sold their company for like hundreds of millions of dollars and like swag. Like
amazing. Amazing. Okay. So where can listeners find you? Any social media handles, anything like that?
Yeah, people can find me. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, X at Michael D. Brandt.
Okay.
My website is ketone.com. And yeah, you can find us. Our company is at Ketone-IQ on all the social media platforms.
Amazing. What's your favorite biohacking tip?
Mouth tape.
I love mouth tape.
And tied with barefoot. Like spend as much time barefoot as you can. And wear barefoot shoes if you can.
Is your like house all barefoot? Like do you have everything's grounded? Do you have like grounding mats on your bed? Like is your bed grounded?
Well, I don't have all that. No, but we are all barefoot, like shoes off. What's a grounding mat in your bed do?
You can get a grounding mat for your bed or for your couch so that it's like grounded. Like you can get something to test if certain things are grounded.
What if you're on the 4th floor?
I'm not sure how that works. I just know for a single floor house.
I ripped off my mouth tape in the middle of the night last night.
Oh.
I know, scandalous. I don't know. Sometimes it just bothers me.
It bothers you?
Sometimes, well, you didn't know you did it, did you? Or did you?
No, I did it on purpose.
Oh, it's actually interesting.
I'm trying to do it.
The mouth tape can end up in different places.
Yeah,
sometimes,
for sure.
But I'm trying to do it. I'm into it. I prefer the nose strips at the moment.
You can do both.
I did both.
Love it.
It was kind of insane.
It takes some adaptation for sure. Like your nose definitely adapts to like being able to breathe all the way.
To use it.
Yeah, and then your lungs, I feel like my lungs have adapted to like just being okay with like slower air intake and like longer, slower, more powerful, like deeper breaths, as opposed to like, I do think if you open your mouth, you can take like a quick, gigantic gulp of air. Through your nose, it is more throttled, but I think that's okay if you're chill about it. Like if you're, I think it all goes hand in hand where you like nose breathe, it forces you, for better or for worse, to be on like a kind of more chill,
in a more calm state and not fight or flight, where I feel like if you're like breathing out of your mouth, like short breaths, you're in fight or flight.
Yeah. And so it increases parasympathetic tone and like just all that, rest and relax modality. And then, it's been shown it helps with like nitric oxide production, which helps your body transport oxygen around. And like,
I'm not going to take it off.
It takes some getting used to for sure. Like I think if you can go half the night, you can kind of stair step into it.
Cool.
And it's cool because it's like, it seems like it's really taken over. Like there's like hostage tape, like, I don't know what you guys get targeted. There's like hostage tape, like super macho, like
I met the founder at a Triple Whale event of hostage tape.
Wow.
And then Lauren Bostic at Skinny Confidential, she gave me, I was on the show there. She gave me like the pink, it's like pink girly, like in the shape of lips, like mouth tape. So it's cool. Genius. I feel like it's really taking over kind of a lot of different areas, health and wellness.
I've been using the Somnifix one for almost 4 years.
Nice.
Like the OG one. They were on Shark Tank too.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been really using it for...
She was one of the first OGs. No, I'm serious.
Well, I was struggling with sleep apnea and sleep issues, so...
And it helped.
Tremendously. I used to wake up with a sore throat every single day. No longer do.
Wow.
My quality of life just went up significantly.
Wow.
Like I would say it was probably one of the best things I ever did for my health.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I do
I
think
thought she
pound
was
for
crazy at first. I was like, when we like would go on trips and stuff, and she'd be like, "Okay, no more talking now," and then it was just it. Remember
Yeah,
when
of
we take our
course.
trips?
yeah.
Sorry.
I do think pound for pound, it's one of the best shifts. Like it's not that hard, and I think you get a lot of benefit out of it.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of
Episode
fun.
was really fun.
Yes.
Thank you.